On the lineup today, the NFL and the refs reach an agreement, and we take a look back at the battle between Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera for the American League MVP. Plus, we look back at this MLB season today on Lions Lineup. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Lions Lineup, the sports show here at LTV that brings you sports news, analysis, and fun on the national level. I'm Joe Caputo here, joined today by Chris Drabik. Chris, we'll talk about the first topic, which happens to be baseball, for today's show.
The year-long race for the American League Most Valuable Player is finally winding down. Earlier in the season, we were able to see baseball's top prospect and Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim rookie Mike Trout make his professional debut. Little did we know the Trout mania that would ensue. The Angels were a struggling team that caught an instant spark as soon as Trout joined the lineup, carrying them all year long and are now just 2 games out of a playoff spot with the season winding down. Trout is currently batting .323 with 28 home runs and 124 runs scored while showing off his speed with 47 stolen bases. Possibly the most impressive aspect of his game Trout has put on display is his game-changing defense, gracefully patrolling center field and scaling the wall like Spider-Man to bring back home runs, leaving opponents with their jaws hanging. The talented 20-year-old has even drawn comparisons to one of baseball's best ever, Mickey Mantle. For Trout, no pressure is too tough to handle and no spotlight is too bright to shine. It will be interesting to see how the experts vote for MVP after the greatest rookie season in MLB history. The only person standing in the way of Mike Trout is Detroit Tigers superstar Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera has led the charge back from a disappointing summer, where the Tigers spent most of their time in second and third place, to a promising September, where the Tigers now hold sole possession of first place in the AL Central Division. The third baseman has proven to be the best hitter in baseball all year long, currently batting .327 with 42 home runs and 133 runs batted in, good enough for first, second, and first in the American League respectively. He is just 1 home run back of the home run leader, Josh Hamilton. If Cabrera can take the home run lead and hold his average and RBI lead, then he will be the 14th player to win the Triple Crown in MLB history, and the first winner since 1967. A Triple Crown would cap off an amazing statistical season and possibly put him over the edge in the MVP race. Some people like Trout's spark, others prefer Cabrera's dominance, while some think whoever makes the playoffs should be given the MVP crown. If the season ended today, who would you name the American League Most Valuable Player?
I mean, Chris, I'm a huge Mike Trout fan.
As am I.
I've liked Mike Trout this entire year. He was on my fantasy team.
He's from New Jersey.
He's from New Jersey. But, I mean, you're looking at history here. This is Miguel Cabrera. This is a Triple Crown possibility. He's 1 home run back. And I know it's going to be tough to do, but, I mean, it's hard to argue against Miguel Cabrera at this point. Mm-hmm. What about, I mean, do you have
one word comes to mind for me, and that's the word dominance. We were talking about before the show, actually. You said 400 batting average with runners in scoring position with 2 outs.
That's unheard of.
It's automatic. That's automatic. The dominance he's put throughout the season is basically it's kept the Tigers afloat in this race all year long. The average is high 300s, 41 home runs, all that RBIs. To have that kind of power with that kind of contact and average ability is something you don't see anymore.
A lot of people this entire summer were waiting for the Tigers. I mean, as the White Sox were leading the division and the whole summer, everyone just kept saying the Tigers are going to come on, the Tigers are going to come on. And it all has come down to one guy, and it's Miguel Cabrera. If he's not there, this Tiger team is nowhere near what they're at right now. And I'll tell you what, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm scared to see the Tigers in the playoffs if the Yanks get there because he's so tough to get out runners in scoring position. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Like you said, the Tigers in the summer needed that one guy to carry them, and he literally put the entire team on his back and walked through the months of July, August, September, and now have sole possession as of yesterday in the AL Central. So what he's done, I mean, don't get me wrong, Mike Trout's had an unreal season. He's the future of baseball. He could be one of the greatest ever, but as of this season, 2012, Miguel Cabrera deserves it, without a doubt.
And that's exactly my thought, and I was going to say the same exact thing. Mike Trout, let's not forget how great he's been this
unreal.
entire
He's fun
season.
to watch.
He's gonna steal 50 bases. He might hit 30 home runs. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a rookie to do that and score 130 runs, he's going to be the best player in baseball for years to come. But
absolutely.
Right now, it is Miguel Cabrera that deserves it.
I agree with you 100%.
All right, that will do it for this segment of our show today. We'll be right back with more Lions lineup, but first we have a trivia question for you. Miguel Cabrera is on track to win the American League Triple Crown. Who was the last player to win the Triple Crown? We'll have this answer for you right after the break. Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we asked you, who was the last player to win the Triple Crown? The answer to our question, Boston Red Sox owned Carl Yastrzemski in 1967. On to the NFL. It's been the talk of the NFL over the first 3 weeks and seems to get worse by the week, and has seemed to have reached a breaking point after Week 3's Monday night game. Yes, I'm talking indeed about the replacement officials, and though you may be getting tired of hearing about it, the problem must be solved. Monday night's game between the Packers and Seahawks may have redefined the word unbelievable when, with no time left on the clock, what looked like a clear interception by Packers safety M.D. Jennings was ruled a touchdown catch for Golden Tate, as the referees ruled that the players had simultaneous possession, which by rule is given to the offensive player. They did indeed know the rule, but the judgment may have been the worst I've ever seen. Some sports websites even have gone as far as to say that it may have been the worst call in NFL history. Now let's not overdo it here. These refs are not anywhere near as bad as advertised. As we all know, the media can blow anything out of proportion. But the bottom line is, they are indeed getting many calls wrong, and it seems like those calls are getting bigger and bigger. So the question remains, why has the NFL let it get to this point? America's favorite league, that usually takes such good care of its players, officials, and fans, have really done a poor job in dealing with this situation. However, that is a question that will quickly disappear, as finally, Chris Mortensen of the NFL is reporting that the officials in the NFL have finally signed a deal that will put the officials back on the field as early as this weekend. What a sight for sore eyes that will be. Boy, do they need to make this deal right now and get the focus back on the players and teams and more off the men in stripes, making the calls. As for me, I'll be looking forward to seeing the standing ovation that Mike Carey, Ed Hockley, and the rest of the regular officials get at the beginning of their respective games, because not only will it be probably the first ovation these officials ever receive, it'll also more than likely probably be their last. Chris, what do you have to say about this whole situation that's gone on with the NFL?
As the Packers fan of me, I don't want to talk about it. The sports reporter in me, I will talk about it. I think that the officiating job of the first 3 weeks was terrible. However, since they're back, for NFL fans everywhere, we're all applauding. Thank goodness. What I think is that the referees got what they wanted in this. They were the biggest winners out of all of this. They said, you can't play without us, and we saw they basically couldn't play without them. I think that, the first 3 weeks were not good at all. They were terrible. But most important thing is that we had the referees back, and we're going to continue on the season, status quo.
And I told you before the show, and I know that it's killing you inside, but what happened on Monday night between the Packers and Seahawks helped the NFL. It was good for the league.
Bit the bullet for the rest of the league.
And you know what? Thanks to the Packers for doing that. But these referees must have been, the real referees, the originals, must have been sitting at home absolutely in their
laughing
glory.
At them.
Laughing. They're smiling probably at every bad call they make, because with every bad call they make, the NFL came one step closer to making this decision to get the originals back on the field. And I think that overall in the scope of the NFL, you want the focus to always be on the players and teams. Mm-hmm. And I know even the regular officials make bad calls. The replacements weren't
not as bad as the media made it out to be. Absolutely.
Exactly. But the fact that they were there, that people started just hating them because they were the replacement officials.
Exactly.
And they made calls that probably the originals would make wrong, but
Absolutely.
It got blown out of proportion because they were replacements. And the fact that that's over now is so great for the NFL.
And you saw the disrespect that the coaches and the players had for the referees the first 3 weeks. I saw in week 2 as a fumble happened on the field as a giant pileup, and a referee tried getting in there, and some lineman pushed him away because he was some replacement ref.
They were getting taken advantage of left
Absolutely.
and right. There was a story about how Jim Harbaugh last week in Minnesota actually convinced the referee to give him an extra timeout so he could challenge a play.
Exactly.
I mean, that just can't happen. And the fact that's over with now is just absolutely gigantic.
It's just a good thing for the league. I think that the first holding penalty Mike Carey calls will be the most applauded call in NFL history.
It will. I'm going to be at the Jets-Niners game this weekend, and I will be absolutely giving them a standing ovation, and I'll be in my glory that they're back. So this will wrap it up for this segment of Lions Lineup. We'll be back right after the break.